Hi, my name is Taylor Fuller. I work for a company called FSA Investment Group. We are a group of financial advisors dedicated to serving Native American Indian tribes in a financial advisor capacity. My degree is in accounting, and I've been working on some PPP loans, and now we're getting into the stage where the SBA has provided some instructions for borrowers for the loan forgiveness application process. After reading through the PDF and looking on YouTube, I noticed there is some guidance out there from individuals going through the actual PDF itself and providing information as to how you can fill out the application. My goal today isn't so much to do that as it is to show you the spreadsheet that we built and how you can apply that spreadsheet to your own business or to your own tribe to better help you fill out the application. If you read through the actual PDF, you'll notice that there's calculations and things of that nature in there. And the PDF itself doesn't obviously have any calculation ability. So I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet and show you kind of some of the mechanisms that we built to better help you fill out the actual form. If it comes to my attention that I need to spend more time actually going through the PDF itself and providing explanation as to why you're making those calculations, I'm happy to do so at a later time. But for now, I really just want to focus on the spreadsheet because I want to get it out there. So if anybody does want to use it, specifically my clients or Indian tribes, you guys have that access, okay? So the first section in tab 1 of this spreadsheet is the PPP forgiveness calculation form, and it's broken out into 3 different columns. The first column is your input descriptions. So these are descriptions of the different pieces of data that the SBA is looking to collect, okay? Column B is where you're actually going to insert information or information is going to be calculated. And column C is a description of the column B functions. So the easiest way to explain this, and if you just want to watch the next 10 seconds of this video and try to figure it out yourself, anywhere there's a green insert, directly to the left, insert the information that is being requested in the description column. And if you click and hover over a cell, you'll see that there's comments. You can read the comments. They're directly from the actual PDF itself, so you can see the instructions that were provided directly by the SBA. There is no opinion in those comments. That's strictly a copy and paste directly from the PDF. Anywhere you see a yellow calculation cell, that's a calculation. It's a formula. You don't need to touch that. You don't need to mess with the formula at all. All you need to do is put the information where there's a green insert button. And then you got your red cell. A red cell is a link cell, meaning it's linking to another calculation cell or another insert cell. Okay? So let's go through the first section of this. Very simple. Business legal name. This is going to be directly on your actual application to the lender. Doing business as, again, same as the first piece of information there. Business address, business tax identification number or employee identification number or social security number. Business phone, primary contact, email address. You'll need to reach out to your lender for the next 2 to maybe 4 if you don't have that information. Your SBA PPP loan number, your lender PPP loan number, your PPP loan amount, and your PPP loan disbursement date. Employees at the time of loan application. You're going to use the same calculation that you used in both of these next cells as whenever you file the application. So employees at the time of the loan application, employees at the time of forgiveness application. Your EIDL advance amount, which is an economic injury disaster loan, if that's applicable. If not, you're just going to put a 0 in there, and then an EIDL application number. Payroll schedule. This is a drop-down list. You weekly, bi-weekly, twice a month, monthly, or other. Covered period start date. So the covered period start date is your 8-week period, the start date of your 8-week period of when you received the funds. If you received the funds on the 5th, that's the first date. You can see that the calculation cell is adding 56 days. That's 56 days, which is 8 weeks. And that means if your covered period started on the 8th of May, it's going to end on the 3rd of July. Your alternative payroll covered period start date. This was something new that the SBA put out. They are essentially allowing you to start your 8-week covered period on the first payroll period following the date you received your funds. So the easy way to think about it, if you are on the 8th of May here, your next payroll start date is going to be the first day of your alternative payroll covered period start date. Again, add 55 days in this instance, and you're going to get to your 7/5/2020, which is the 8-week period. Okay. Is loan in excess of $2 million? Yes or no? The reason they're asking this, if your loan's in excess of $2 million, you're going to get audited. I've also heard if your loan's less than $2 million, people say that we're not going to get audited. I don't believe that to be the case. I think that if it's less than $2 million, your odds of getting audited are less, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get audited. But that's why they put this in here, because if it's yes, it's just going to throw it into a queue at the Treasury that they're going to go ahead and audit you. So everybody should follow the appropriate guidelines and everybody should document, but specifically those that are above $2 million, make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. Okay. Next, this is when we get into the actual calculation piece of the application. So there's really kind of 4 different rows here that you'll see, 4 different buckets, so to speak. So you've got your payroll and non-payroll cost. These are all of the expenditures that you're going to incur that are eligible forgivable cost per the PPP guidance. Line 1, payroll cost. Payroll costs are defined by the SBA. You can, and in the Treasury, you can find that definition. It does include benefits. Okay, it does include local taxes. It includes retirement plans. It includes vacation, sick time, medical leave. I believe you'll want to check the definition. But this is all of your payroll costs that are defined by the SBA and Treasury. Line 2, business mortgage interest payments, so long as you were under the loan before February 15th, 2020. Business rent or lease payments, and business utility payments. Lines 2, 3, and 4 are manual inserts. Just get your bills, get the costs that were incurred during the covered period, not the payroll, the alternative payroll covered period. That's not what line 2, 3, and 4 are for. That's only for line 1. Line 2, 3, and 4, you're going to want to use the covered period. Cost incurred or cash payment date, just make sure that you don't double count. Okay. So go ahead and insert that information there. This is a linked cell, which is using a schedule that's down below in the spreadsheet, and I'll show you where that's linking. So you'll see it's a red linked cell, and if you click on the cell, obviously you can see where it's linking, and it's linking down to this schedule, and we'll get to that in 1 second. Okay. So this right here is actual cost incurred during your covered period. Okay. Adjustments for FTE and wage reductions. This is linking to tab 2 and tab 3. Technically, it's linking to cells down below, but the cells down below are then linking to tabs 2 and 3, and I'll go through those in a second. Potential forgiveness amounts, line 8, 9, and 10. Again, these are calculations, link cell calculation, and your forgiveness amount is a calculation. So we're going to go down here to where it starts getting into more insert columns, because once we fill out every single insert and once we fill out tabs 2 and 3, everything else is going to automatically calculate, and then we can transfer that over to our PDF. Okay. So PPP Schedule A, Table 2, actually Table 1, sorry. So we're going to go over here to tab 2, and I'm going to show you how you need to fill out your tab 2. This gets a little bit more convoluted. However, this is data directly from your payroll export. So what you're going to do, and this assumes that you have 8 weeks of data, okay? We're still in the stages where most people, I can almost be certain that nobody has been through their 8-week covered period yet. So once you get through your 8-week covered period, you're actually going to have all this data. I've just put in sample data just for reference. You can delete this, modify it, add rows, delete rows, whatever you need to do to get to the number of employees that you have. So you're going to run an export, and you're going to run all of your employees that you have. You're going to notate whether they're salary or hourly. You need to have their employee identifier number, which is the last 4 digits of a social security number. And then there's this box here. It says box 1 compensation. You can see here in the comment section, it says enter the sum of gross salary, gross wages, gross tips. That's important. Gross commissions, paid leave, vacation, family, medical, or sick leave, not included leave covered by the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, so on and so forth. Okay, so $15,385 is essentially $100,000 prorated for the 8-week period. So the most you can pay somebody is $15,385, and those costs actually be qualified for forgiveness. Okay. Box 2, you're going to enter your average FTE count. Again, the instructions are in the PDF, so there's 2 different methods for doing that, and you can read through that in the PDF. Box 3 is a wage reduction. This is a formula. So This is when you get into a process that gets a little bit more cumbersome, but it's you just need to follow steps 1A, 1B, 1C. Go to step 2A if you need to, step B and C, and then step 3 if you need to, and so on and so forth. The rule here is you have to pay your employees at least 75% of the wages that they were making during Q1 2020. So I'll give you an example. If you paid an employee $60,000 salary in Q1 2020, and you also paid them $60,000 on an annual basis, prorated for the 8-week period, if you also paid them $60,000 during the covered period, whether it be your covered period or your alternative covered period, your ratio is 1-to-1. That means you paid $1 during Q1 2020 and you paid $1 during the covered period. If the formula in step 1C is below 0.75, you're going to see the cell turn red. It doesn't matter if it's an hourly wage or an annual salary. You'll see if it's an hourly employee, you put their average hourly wage during these 2 periods. So what you can see is if I change my covered period data, my formula is going to update. So if I happen to pay this employee less than, call it $10 or less than $11.50, whatever the 75% is of $15, you're going to see this cell turn red. If this cell turns red, then you have to proceed to step 2A and move on to step 3A if applicable. Okay? Step 2A, enter the annual salary or hourly wage as of February 15th, 2020. So you're going to enter that data. Enter the average annual salary or hourly wage between February 15th, 2020 and April 26th, 2020. Enter that there. Step 2C. Enter the average annual salary or hourly wage as of June 30th, 2020. If 2C is equal to or greater than 2A, the salary hourly wage reduction safe harbor has been met, and you have a zero reduction to your forgivable cost base. So this formula basically says skip to step 3. So if this says skip to step 3, then you need to go ahead and go to step 3. If it's blank, then you can stop and you qualify for the safe harbor. Okay. Step 3A, H3 times 75. So multiply the amount entered in 1B by 0.75. Step 3B, subtract the amount entered in 1A from 3A. Step 3C, for hourly workers only. So these next 2 cells are for hourly employees. If you put hourly over here on the left, right here, if you put hourly here, if you put salary here, this is going to come back as an NA. If you put hourly, then you're going to have a formula here, okay? Step 3E is the amount that's going to reduce your forgivable cost base, okay? Whenever you minimize these groupings here, you're going to see, if I can get there, you're going to see box 1 cash compensation, box 2 average FTE, box 3 wage reduction. These numbers here are what you are going to put into your PDF. You're going to put it over here in tab 1. It's going to pull in, but essentially this is what you need to put in your box 1 on your PDF, and you'll see the correlation here in a second. So box 1 cash compensation. This is the cash compensation over the 8-week period on average, okay? So, this is the sum of gross salary, gross wages, gross tips, okay, for the period. So that's box 1 cash compensation. Then you have box 2 average FTE. This calculates the average FTEs during the covered period, okay? Wage reduction. If you have wage reductions, this is going to sum up everything in your wage reduction, and it's going to enter a number. This number is going to get all 3 of these numbers are going to get pulled in to the data here. Okay, so now that you know kind of a little bit about tab 2, let's go to tab 3. Tab 3 is for employees that make greater than $100,000 only. There's really only 4 columns here: the employee name, the employee identifier, their cash compensation, which is going to be capped out from a forgiveness standpoint at $15,385. And then a box 5 is your average FTEs, okay? So this is for employees that are greater than $100,000. So you'll just go and enter the information for all of your employees that make greater than 100. So now your box 1, your box 2, your box 3, and your box 4 and your box 5, if you minimize this, are all filled out. Okay, and again, this is just sample data. You just will replace all of this. So some of the numbers don't really necessarily make sense. So now you're coming here and you're going to see in line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, these 5 numbers here are all getting pulled in from tab 2 and tab 3. Okay. Line 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all inserts. So you need to go find the amount of employer contributions for employee health insurance, employer contributions to employee retirement plans, and employer state and local taxes assessed on employee compensation. You just need to insert those amounts directly into the spreadsheet. Now, payroll cost. It's going to take the following cells that you just input the information over in tab 2 and tab 3. It's going to make a calculation. It's going to spit out a number, and that number is going to get pulled into your payroll cost above. So now at this point, you'll have all 4 pieces of data that you need to figure out how much you spent on qualified expenditures that have the potential to be completely forgiven. Okay. Now, the next one is an insert. This is an average FTE during the borrower's chosen reference period. There's essentially 2 time periods that you're going to be looking at unless you're a seasonal employer. The first one is February 15th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019. You're going to calculate your average FTEs during that period. Then you're going to calculate your average FTEs during January 1st through February 29th, 2020. Whichever of those 2 is less, that's the amount that you're going to put here. That's your watermark for FTEs. Remember, the SBA said you have to hire back at least the amount of FTEs that you had before COVID-19, so pre-COVID-19 levels. So long as you're greater than that FTE number, whenever you go through your covered period, you're going to receive loan forgiveness for those payroll costs. But if you're below, it's essentially going to give you a reduction quotient, is what they call it, and it's going to reduce your forgivable cost base by a prorated portion of the amount that you essentially reduced your FTEs. Okay. So line 11, insert the amount for your chosen reference period, total average FTEs during your covered period, which has already been calculated. This has been calculated in your tab 2 and tab 3, so that's going to get pulled in. And then your FTE reduction quotient is going to get pulled in. And that's essentially it, with the exception of this little safe harbor provision. The safe harbor provision can be found here. I'll pull it up. Safe harbor. And I'm going to highlight it. A safe harbor under applicable law and regulation exempts certain borrowers from the loan forgiveness reduction based on FTE employee levels. Specifically, the borrower is exempt from the reduction in loan forgiveness based on FTE employees described above if both of the following conditions are met. 1, the borrower reduced its FTE employee levels in the period beginning February 15th, 2020 and ending April 26, 2020. And 2, the borrower then restored its FTE employee levels by not later than June 30th, 2020 to its FTE employee levels in the borrower's pay period that included February 15th, 2020. When you insert the information right here and here, this cell calculation is going to tell you whether or not you can proceed, or watch if I change the data, or if safe harbor is not applicable. If it says safe harbor is not applicable, you can just stop right there and you don't need to fill out anything else. If it says proceed, in this example, then you insert the next cell here, and if you qualify, this is going to equal 1. If you do not qualify, this is going to say safe harbor not applicable. If the safe harbor is applicable, it's going to enter a 1 for your FTE reduction quotient, and you're not going to be penalized for reducing your FTE counts. So that's the spreadsheet. That's kind of the process. I did this in one take, so I apologize for some of the rambling, but that's how you use it. Once you have it completely filled out, you're going to transfer the information from this page to the PDF. Once you fill out the PDF and the appropriate person signs the PDF, you're going to send that to your lender. We don't have guidance right now as to exactly when the loan forgiveness application is due, But as soon as we receive more guidance, I'm sure 100 people out there are going to post YouTube videos and provide further guidance. The purpose of this video was really just to walk you through the spreadsheet and hopefully provide you and your company a tool to work through the loan forgiveness guideline, and I hope it's helpful. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you watching the video.